DCOP Habiba Chumesi Sapong, representing the IGP and the Director General in charge of welfare of the Ghana Police Service. And of course, we have my big brother and the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Herbert Krapper. We have the CEO of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Dr. Efua Asabia Asari, with us. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the Minister for Information and Member of Parliament for Ofuase Airebi constituency, Honorable Kojo Opon Nkrumah, with us. So I will invite the Honorable Minister for Information for his initial remarks.
Honorable Deputy Minister, thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining us here once again. I want to make a few remarks to contextualize what we're about to do here this morning. On a little aside, I was telling the team from Trade and GEPA that when I see what's happening in the foyer, I think they should be coming more regularly, because we would like to see them a lot more than we are doing now. In the week gone by, I think from Friday till now, there's been a lot of talk about Ghana's engagement with the International Monetary Fund. And you would realize that the thing that we've been talking about in terms of what we are asking them to support our program with is balance of payment support. I'm taking time to do this explanation because I'm praying you to help us get your audiences to also understand some of the big terms we've been using. We're asking the fund to help us with balance of payment support. Balance of payment is the end product of the balance of trade. It's a difference between what we export and what we import. When you bring it to nominal terms, how much we earn from what we export struck against how much we spend on what we import leads to balance of payment. And the reason for which, or part of the reason for which you have to have that conversation is because there are times when what you are exporting, because of whatever it is, a global crisis, a global economic situation, as compared to what you are importing, and the bills associated with it will leave you in a deficit position on the balance of payment front. It is good news that we are finding that gradually, though it's not where we want it to be, gradually our exports, particularly on the non-traditional export side, are doing better. Gradually. We're not where we want to be yet. And it is important to highlight it and use it as a basis to encourage a lot more non-traditional exports so that we will be able to do better on our total export picture, do better on our balance of trade, and therefore our balance of payment. Some of the questions you've been asking about the future are answered by how well we will continuously do in terms of exports, and even under exports, specifically non-traditional exports. So we want to pray you to contextualize the report that we are going to launch today. It's not just one of those reports that shows that something has happened, but it's even more important now because of the conversation we're having. Because in the end, if we're able to keep up on this trajectory and keep improving export, and in particular non-traditional exports, then we will be in a position where no matter what is happening to the global economy, we will still have a dominant export position as compared to our import position. And you'll be in a position where you can hold your own without having to require a lot of help. You hear people say, but even in the countries where there is the key challenge, some of them have not had to resort to some of the requests we are making. You can check the data on how much help some of these countries have received already. Billions of cash coming to some of these economies that are even at war from all over the world. Therefore, they may not need to apply somewhere under the same name that we are applying for, but they are getting billions from other parts of the world. And at the same time, some of these countries like Russia are still doing a lot of exports in the billions. And therefore, their economy may still be able to contain part of what is ongoing. You can check the data and help us educate the public a bit more. So beyond all that we are talking about, there's a broader economic conversation about how we improve our exports, and in particular our non-traditional exports. And I think it will help us if you find space to push this a lot more. Just wanted to set the context before we start our conversation. Honorable Deputy Minister, we are in your hands.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. You heard the Minister exporting both goods and services from our country to other parts of the continent and to the world at large is a big agenda of this government. And Ghana Export Promotion Authority has always led us well to make sure that, especially now that we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area headquarters here in Ghana, we take advantage of it and showcase made in Ghana goods within the continent and also around the world. Without much ado, let me invite the Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Ifua Asabia Asari, to give us her opening remarks.
Good morning. The Honorable Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, the Honorable Minister for Information, and I'm thankful that he gave the few remarks on or situated what this whole program is about, situated it into context for us. The Deputy Minister for Information, my own sister, Board Chairman, and board members of Ghana Export Promotion Authority, management and members of staff from Ghana Export Promotion Authority, directors from the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Information, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. And let me add my voice in welcoming you to this launch event, which is a brief ceremony but very significant on the calendar of our exporters. The year 2021 was widely heralded as the year of rebirth, and rightly so. This year has seen a resurgence in business and an optimistic return to normalcy. In terms of business, the year 2021 saw an uptick, with working amidst COVID protocols being part of the norm. As an institution with a primary mandate of facilitating the production and promoting made in Ghana products and services outside our boundaries, we come to terms with using technology primarily for several aspects of our operations where we hitherto heavily relied on in-person tactics. Business summit, trade shows, global seminars and exhibitions were all running virtually or in hybrid mode during the COVID times, and utilizing all resources to promote export and strengthening exporters' capacities was what we had to do and do very well. Over time, with a reduction of restrictions and in-person events regaining prominence, we have perfected the art of incorporating a virtual perspective to all aspects of our operations. Interestingly, now we invite our exporters for in-person events, and when we do that, the next obvious statement from them is, please share the link for us to join online. This practice has so quickly become a matter of course, as it is, as if it was always part of us. Another learning we have perfected is the art of partnerships and collaboration, which has proven to be impactful engaging, and rewarding for stakeholders involved. Without sounding like a broken record, ladies and gentlemen, our mandate at the Ghana Export Promotion Authority as an agency under the Ministry of Trade and Industry seeks to facilitate the production and promotion of value-added goods and services made in Ghana. Within the export value chain and trade fraternity, our mandates are quite interdependent, and our best outputs are the ones that have been supported by strong institutional collaborations. Our exporters are the final beneficiaries of the work we do, as their productivity impacts the export figures. So you can understand why we tend to get excited when we record a significant increase in non-traditional export earnings, that is, products and services with value addition. We are quick to remind ourselves that the target of $25.3 billion US by the year 2029 is still on the horizon, and therefore the performance of the previous year is only an indication of the level of momentum we need to gather to achieve our objective of making Ghana an industrialized economy. As an implementing agency of the National Export Development Strategy, you would realize that the program's GEPA runs have been aligned to either of the following three pillars of the strategy to enable us work towards achieving our aim of turning our fortunes around. Pillar 1 is increasing productivity of exporters. 2, advocating for the enhancement of the business environment to encourage exporters to export more. And 3, building the competence of exporters to enable them compete favorably in international market. And I dare say that also building the competence and the capacity of the staff of Ghana Export Promotion Authority. However, like I mentioned earlier, we are unable to achieve this alone as an agency, not because we are unskilled, but because the success of the strategy relies on the collaborative effort of public-private sector partnership. There is so much to be achieved in destination markets, and the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, provides duty-free treatment to goods of designated sub-Saharan African countries. We have barely scratched the surface of this act, and in 2021, we exported to 152 countries, and the EU and the UK markets continue to top our export destinations, contributing 35.9% total market value. The Asian market demand alone is overwhelming, not to mention the new AFCFTA market that beckons. Ladies and gentlemen, you would realize that there's a lot we can do to turn things around if we set our minds to being export-oriented and aligning our operations to the pillars of the National Export Development Strategy. Suffice it to say that we can accomplish so much more with a collaborative and intentional approach, and I'm happy to report that we do have a number of examples to show. However, let me keep the suspense and invite you to continue the conversations after the launch of the 2021 non-traditional export statistics. Thank you to the research team of Ghana Export Promotion Authority led by Mr. Maxwell Kusi, Director of Research, for putting this report together. And last but not least, thank you all for coming. I thank you once again for your attention.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asabia, for the brilliant presentation. I'll now call the Honorable Deputy Minister in charge of Trade and Industry to give us his remarks and also perform the official launch.
Minister, thank you very much. Board Chairman and members of the Board of GEPA, CEO and members of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, colleagues from both Ministries of Trade and the Ministry of Information and all other agencies here, and of course our friends from the media. The Ministry of Trade and Industry is very happy to be associated with this launch, the launch of the 2021 non-traditional export statistics, for a host of reasons. This report first allows us to be able to analyze and evaluate the impact that the National Export Development Strategy is making on our overall export development agenda. As you know, the government has set out a vision to move our non-traditional export earnings from the current 2.8, 2.9 billion to about 25 billion in a matter of a decade. And that means that we have to constantly evaluate our performance periodically to assess where our strengths are and also align our resources and efforts in areas where we need to realign. And therefore, the launch of this report is of particular importance to the ministry for that reason. It also allows us to further mainstream the National Export Development Strategy and the export agenda into the overall global industrial transformation agenda that the ministry is currently pursuing. We cannot export if we are not producing. We cannot export if we are not adding value. And so all the other areas, the industrial revitalization program, the 1D1F, the domestic retail infrastructure, SME development, and all of those programs are crucial for the development of export itself. And the launch of this report gives us the opportunity to reevaluate how we further mainstream export development into the industrial transformation agenda. And then it's also important to us because it allows us to further deepen institutional collaboration. Ghana Export Promotion Authority and the Ministry of Trade and Industry alone cannot drive the vision that we have set for ourselves. We need other ministries, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ministry of Information, Foreign Ministry, Ghana Standards Authority, Food and Drugs Authority, Customs, the banks, EXIM, all the other institutions that we need to work together with so that we can achieve the vision that we have set for ourselves. The launch of this report, we believe, allows us to come around the table again to assess the level of the participation and the collaboration between these agencies and how we further deepen that collaboration. Of course, the impact that the export earnings has on the performance of the economy is not lost on all of us at all. We know that the positive impact that it can have on our GDP, on the exchange rate, and of course on inflation as well. And therefore, that's another important reason why, and like the minister set it in motion, it's another important reason why the Ministry of Trade and Industry is happy with the launch of this report. Ghana today, in terms of preferential market size, we have about 2 billion market size, preferential market size. Of course, we've just heard about the Asian market as well, huge market. When you talk about the AFCFTA, we're talking about a market size of about 1.2 billion people. The interim economic partnership agreement with the EU gives us a market size of about 450 million people. The African Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA, gives us a market size of about 320 million people in the US market. Of course, we just ratified the interim trade partnership agreement with the UK, which gives us something like 65 million market size with the UK. And therefore, all put together, you're looking at a market size more than 2 billion people, plus the Asian market and the non-preferential market. Our responsibility is simple. How we're able to empower the private sector in terms of market intelligence, in terms of the right and suitable competitive operating environment, and of course in terms of enhancing their productive capacity to be able to take advantage of these markets. That, we believe, is our responsibility, and that's what the Ministry of Trade and Industry continues to support GEPA with, to be able to deliver. The 2021 statistics give me hope and give the ministry hope that we are on course. Our year-on-year earnings from 2018 have shown a positive trajectory. 2018, year-on-year 2019, we saw a growth of about 10%. on non-traditional export earnings. 2019-2020, year-on-year, 3%. 2020, we saw a decline. For obvious reasons, we dipped by negative 1.8%. Today, we find that 2021 year-on-year, we've increased our non-traditional export earnings by 17%. That means we have moved it from 2.84 billion to 3.33 billion United States dollars. That is significant. This outstanding performance in the export sector is something that we must all be proud of as a government. And I congratulate the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, the Chief Executive, the board, and the executive body, and all the members of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority for working very hard, together with all the other agencies that support you, for working very hard to produce this very astounding increase in our non-traditional export earnings. But it must cause us to do more, especially for the Ghana Export Promotion Authority. It means that you have a responsibility to work double time, so that when we meet again next year, we are seeing a quadruple jump in the figures that we have recorded today. It must also cause us, inspire us to continue to work hard for the private sector, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that we're looking to empower to be able to export and increase the volumes of exports that we have seen. So we are very proud of GEPA. We're very happy as a ministry to announce this 17% jump in non-traditional export earnings, and we'll continue to provide the support that we give you to increase the numbers significantly by 2020, when 2022 year-on-year export earnings figures come out. So on behalf of my minister, the entire ministry, it is my singular honor to declare the 2021 non-traditional export statistics duly launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Minister. If anything rang a bell in course of your address, it was the fact that there is no clearer path to self-sufficiency and also earning foreign exchange than industrialization. So I would like to thank your ministry for the leadership and the good work done, and to thank GIPA for leading us in showcasing made in Ghana goods and services outside the shores of our country. I would like to acknowledge the presence of the CEO of Shares Authority, Ms. Benonita Bismarck. If you are here, give us a wave. Thank you for joining us. Now, I will yield the podium to Dr. Asabia to take us through the highlights of the 2021 non-traditional export performance.
Thank you once again. We have talked about what we have achieved. We have launched the statistics, but we need to understand what went into achieving what we did. And I'm going to put you through the statistics and the analysis of the statistics and how we got to where we are. And this is a very important part of the presentation of the program, because after going through all that we've gone through, the talks and so what are you supposed to make of these figures that we are mentioning? We've done well. Export earnings, and so what? But the presentation I'm going to do, the analysis, will show you why we got there, and how we can even work harder, and how we can encourage our exporters and our business people in the private sector, the farmers especially, to do what they do and do it even well, and how we can go about doing that to help them achieve and help us achieve even more than we have done in 2021. So we will be going through what GEPA's mandate and current areas of focus are, programs and projects summary, our 2021 non-traditional export performance summary, the chocolates and cocoa derivatives industry, and you would understand why we are very particular about this sector, the services export, which is quite new, but sorry, excuse me, which is quite new, but which is a sector that we are pushing so hard, and the National Export Development Strategies priority value chains. Thank you. Ghana Export Promotion Authority is a national trade promotion organization under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and our mandate is to promote and push value-added products and services onto the international market, as we always say. And what we do is to provide product development and supply, base expansion of export products. Another service that we provide is to market development and promotion of made in Ghana products and services on the export market, provide current market information to the exporter community, and then build the capacity of the Ghanaian exporters, including anybody who is interested in exporting, not leaving out the youth and especially women. We also provide consensus building, development of national export awareness. What you see in that circle, this, I think it looks very small, but we have that in the handouts that we brought with us, so you find them in there when we distribute the national, the copies of the NTEs. So just bear with us. These are just products that we work with. Some of the products we work with: fruit and vegetables, cashew, processed cocoa, shea, fish and aqua culture, roots and tubers, palm oil, jewelry, apparels and textile services, and crafts, as well as fruits and vegetables. We have cashew nuts as well. These were what traditionally we were working with. But when I get to where I will talk about the National Export Development Strategy, you will realize that we have added even more. And so when you see 11 here, eventually you'll be seeing 17, because we have the 17 priority areas, which is part of the National Export Development Strategy. There are programs and projects that we execute at Ghana Export Promotion Authority that supports the industry, that supports the sector and our exporters to achieve what we do achieve annually. And some of the programs I'm going to talk about include the Youth in Export program. This is a program where we attach young people, both male and female, to expert exporters, to learn the trade along the whole value chain, so that at the end of a year they can decide which value chain they are interested in working in, and along the value chain where they want to situate their business. We help them with tools, we help them with a little stipend to stay on the business for a year, to learn from the experts. And we do this in collaboration with the youth agency. So this is a very, very good program. We started with a pilot of 20 young people, and they all successfully passed out, and some of them have continued to do their own business in this sector. And so we have just published, and I think we published not so long ago, to continue with this program, and we have about 100 young people now going to be a part of the second phase of this program, which will also look at the youth in textiles and youth in art and crafts. The first one was youth in agric. We also have our export school. This is where we prepare exporters and potential exporters to be export ready. To be export ready is not just having a product that you think is going to do well on the market. You have to understand the nitty-gritties of getting your products ready, to understand certification standards, the market, how to access the market, what market needs what. And to do all of these, it will be very, very good for a potential exporter to come through the Ghana Export School. It's not only for potential exporters, it is for people who think that at one time in their business life or their entrepreneurship life, they may want to go onto the international market. Or even if you have a product that you want to develop, we can help you at the export school to develop that product to the level where it will not only be suitable for us in Ghana, but for the world. And so we have the export school, which is available in all the regions. Then we have our National Export Development Strategy. The National Export Development Strategy was put together by about 100 organizations in this country. So it is not a GEPA document. It is a national document that was put together by about 100 organizations in the export trade ecosystem, and it belongs to all of these organizations and more. So we are collaborating with all the agencies that took part in putting this document together, and we are implementing this document with the agencies. It's not going to be one of those documents that sits and gathers dust, and that is why it is not a GEPA document, but a national document that involves both the private sector and the public sector. We have the Market Hub at as our website. That's what we call the Market Hub, where we have information on all that you need to know about export and the happenings in GEPA and the happenings on the international market. And we have the GEPA Impact Hub. This is a physical place that we have made conducive for exporters to be able to access information. We have libraries, we have e-libraries, physical libraries, we have a space that you can have your meetings that we don't charge for. So you can just walk in as an exporter, or let us know if you want to have a meeting with us, or a meeting with your potential clients. And we do this because we know that most SMEs, which form the largest part of our clientele, do not have offices of their own. And to make things very easy for them, we created this conducive atmosphere for them to use. So you can come there and have meetings with your potential clients, or have meetings with us, or have us sit down with you to talk about a product that you want to put on the market or develop. And everything will be sorted out for you when you come there, because we even have the Ghana Standards Authority desk in this Impact Hub. We have the Food and Drugs Authority desk, and we have the PPRSD of the Ministry of Agri sitting with us to help us. And my sister from the Ghana Shippers Authority has indicated that she also wants to be part of the Impact Hub. So this is the place to be, and it is replicated in all the regions. Aside that, if you are in the districts, then you have to take advantage of this through the business resource centers that are in about 37 districts now, and we keep adding on. So we want to reach every corner of Ghana so that we can unearth and develop the products that are worthy of export. Then we have the market access programs that we have. And we have these market access programs in our Impact Hub. Almost every month, we are conducting seminars, programs, having conversations with the banks, with the insurance companies, with the embassies to support us in how to access markets in various countries. We are talking with banks, we are talking with packaging organizations, branding. I mean, every month something is happening in our impact hubs, all in the by way of preparing our potential exporters and even those who are already in the business to put their best foot forward. We also have a pineapple revitalization program. This is where we have been supporting people in the agri sector, especially the pineapple growers, the coconut growers, and the cashew growers, including vegetable growers as well, with good seedlings, disease-free seedlings, so that they can produce more. We have done interventions in all of these areas that I have mentioned and continue to do so. In the art and craft sector, we've also done great interventions in this sector. We have built the Abompe Beads village, craft village in Abompe in the eastern region, where we supported the making of bauxite beads and ornaments with machines instead of the primitive way that it used to be done. We are preserving some aspects of the way it used to be done just for posterity and for history, and we hope that we will be working very soon, as we are talking with UNESCO, to make this a UNESCO site as well. But we have sent them machines that helps in producing most of the artifacts and the beads and all the products that they do to meet international standards and to make it even easy on them so that they can also produce more. So these are some of the interventions that we have been intervening in. Interventions that we are intervening in. So the non-traditional export performance summary, as you've been told, has moved from 2.8 in 2020 to 3.3 in 2021, and these are this figure you see is due to the interventions that we undertook. So the non-traditional export revenue has grown by about 17%, and this is due to the fact that our exporters worked very hard. Of course, the government supported, but they took the government support very seriously, and I want to say a big thank you to our exporters, and not just the exporters, the manufacturers, the farmers, especially who are producing the raw material base for most of the products and that we put out there. I want to say a big thank you to them, and I want us to clap for them for the work that they have done. As government and as Ghana Export Promotion Authority, we are just facilitators, and we give them a little support for what they do best. If you look at the NTE as compared to national exports, this is how it looks like in 2013. You see that we did 2.4 billion, as the national export was 13 billion. So you can see for yourself the table out there. So in 2021, I don't want to take so much of your time, but in 2021, as we did 3.3 billion, the national export, overall export for Ghana was 14.72 billion. So you can see that non-traditional export or value addition export forms quite a huge chunk of the overall exports, and we need to pay particular attention to this phenomenon. Our top 10 performing products are cocoa paste. Cocoa continues to be one of our top 10 performing products, but it is not just the raw cocoa. This is cocoa with value addition, and that is why we would be very excited if more cocoa is released to industrialists and manufacturers to produce more of the cocoa paste and cocoa butter and the chocolates and whatnot, every derivative of cocoa, because this is where we are making the most money in non-traditional export. Cocoa butter, cashew nuts continues to perform better, and even though it's doing well, we still need to process cashew. Most of the bulk of our cashew is going out of this country unprocessed, and we need to add value to it to make more money out of our cashew. And then the articles of plastics, canned tuna, iron, steel, circles, rods, sheets, all form part of our top 10 products. Refined palm oil, that is from palm oil, palm nuts, is doing very well. Natural rubber sheets, the cocoa powder, and then the shea butter or the shea oil, or what they call the karate. So these are our 10 top performing products. And let's look at the sectors that made the most contribution to the NTE of 2021. The manufacturing sector, that is processed and semi-processed goods, especially the cocoa derivatives, contributed $2.8 billion. And then agribusiness, mostly made up of vegetables and fruits and cashew, and all of them made up of the agriculture products, got us $467 million. And then industrial art and crafts, which is slowly rising, got us $45.2 million. And textiles and garments contributing under 2% of Ghana's non-traditional export, despite the huge number of youth and women it employs, and it can even employ more if we make it a conscious effort to grow this particular sector. This is a very, very important sector that can engender jobs for our youth and especially women. And so we are paying particular attention to this sector, and the ministry is working around the clock to see how it can expand this particular sector. Destination markets of our non-traditional exports are the European Union, the ECOWAS, and then other countries and other African countries. You know, we don't export amongst ourselves very well in Africa, and hence the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we are working to leverage on AFTA to improve significantly our exports to other African countries through the strategy of setting Ghana export trade houses all over Africa and the rest of the world. And this we are almost achieving, because very soon we will come back here and announce to you 2 or 3 export trade houses that we are planting around the world, especially in Africa. We are also paying significant attention to other developed countries like the US, Canada, Australia, Japan, and other countries like China, Mexico, and Brazil. When we talk about the AFCFTA, some people are thinking that, okay, so then we are not going to be working with other countries again. That is, I have asked severally, are you therefore not pursuing exports to other countries around the world? No, we are continuing with what we used to do by exporting to other countries, but intensifying the work that we are doing on the continent. The cocoa derivatives sector, as said earlier, is the largest contributor to the NTEs, and the graph shows that cocoa butter and fat and oil and cocoa paste, and cocoa paste and chocolate and other food preparations are the largest contributor to the NTE. So we would wish that we will get a lot more cocoa to our manufacturers so that they can add value to it. We have the services sector. It's not a very new addition to this sector, but it wasn't until recently that we have put in more effort in this sector. And so we are looking at selling services. Some countries depend solely on services, and this even fetches them more money than products. We are lucky to have a lot of products that we are even spoiled for choice, and we have settled for 17 priority products. But we also have the services area that we can make some money out of. So we have been looking at the services sector comprising of higher education, ICT and IT-enabled services, the medical service, and the professional services. So far, we have visited Nigeria. We have done a lot of trade missions to Nigeria to talk to schools, to talk to young people, and we have managed to in 2021 to bring in about 6,860 students from Nigeria to make use of our very good universities in Ghana. We are talking to other universities in the region. We've done this virtually, and we are still doing this to make sure that we sell our services in higher education to our neighboring countries, especially neighboring countries in West Africa. ICT and IT-enabled services, we have collaborated with the Accra Digital Center. We've organized a virtual and in-person IT fair in Accra, which attracted participants from across the world. And the cluster of IT companies at the ADC was mobilized to participate in online trade summits with countries such as Botswana and South Africa. So more than 40 IT firms participated in the fair and engaged in partnerships for growth. So this is also something that we are very keen on. We are working closely with the Ministry of Communication on this. Our medical services, during the year under review, the authority undertook an extensive mapping of 32 quality medical centers in the country in the bid to promote these medical centers in the sub-region. And also, we are not leaving out professional services like our carpenters, our electricians, our lawyers, architects. These are all services that when harnessed and channeled properly, we could sell on the continent. And we are working with the associations to do this. So these are the 17 priority areas of the National Export Development Strategy, and you can see the addition to the 11 we have pharmaceuticals, we have the aluminium products, we have textiles, we have automobiles and vehicles which have been added. And you know that there are a couple of automobile companies that have, pitched their tent in Ghana. They are not doing this for the 30 million people of Ghana, but they are doing so because of the advantage they want to take of the other surrounding countries in the sub-region, because Ghana is a very stable country, and they think that this is where they can pitch their tents in order to reach other countries in the sub-region. And that is why we have all of them coming here. It's because of the stability of this country and the ease of doing business of this country that is making it attractive for all of these people to come. And so it has become a very important aspect of our National Export Development Strategy that we need to push as they pitch their tents here and produce what they produce. We need to support them to sell their products in the subsector. And so this brings me to the end of the analysis of the non-traditional export, the value addition statistics that was just launched by the minister. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for the insightful presentation, Dr. Asabia Asari. That was so beautiful. And one thing I will say to young entrepreneurs is that on your checklist, make sure you visit the Impact Hub at GEPA, if not for anything. Go there, find out what they have. See if you can meet some standards. If you get some advice, you never know, you may become a unicorn in the near future. So please take advantage of all the things that Dr. Asabia Asari has mentioned. We now come to a very important exercise. We have media men and women with us. We will take this opportunity to open the floor for them to ask questions. Please, if you have any question or submission, kindly raise your hand. They will bring the microphone to you. You mention your name and your media house and proceed to ask your question. Please, if you have any question, this is the best time to ask. If you don't, it means this press briefing went very well. We understood everything. Yes, please. Okay, so I'll take the first question from... Okay, please, do we have any hands up? Okay, I can see only one. Okay, we'll take the second question from the gentleman standing at the back. Anyone? I take that to be the only two questions we have. Okay. So please, okay, we'll take a third question from here. So your name, media house, and proceed to ask your question. Oh, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm glad of this report and more importantly, the inclusion of the export services is key for us. So my question is, now that we've seen growth in the end schemes, the question that I'm asking is that given that here there are a continuous supply chain disruptions, and then also we have the Ukraine the Russia war ongoing. And then also that we are heading towards global recession. How are we positioning ourselves such that the impact of these crises do not dwarf the growth that we've made in this period? Yeah, so that's my question.
Okay. So if I understood your question, you want us to mention, you want the CEO to mention a pathway in view of the supply chain disruption occasioned by the pandemic and also the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, thank you for the question. So we'll take the second question from.
Good morning. My name is Francis Into. I write for the Ghana News Agency. Okay. We have a $25.3 billion target to achieve in 7 years. We are making about 3.3 now. How are you going to achieve the 20 billion deficits? What specific target year on year is GEPA giving it to itself? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question, Francis. Please, we had a third hand.
Good morning. My name is Michael Mauli from Cocoa Board. We are happy to know that cocoa derivatives top the charts for non-traditional export products. And we as the regulator of the cocoa sector would like to know what specific roles we can play to continue boosting the exports.
Okay. Thank you for the question. I take that to be the last question unless anyone has a question. If not, we'll go to Dr. Asabia for her responses and her concluding remarks. Okay.
Okay, to the first question about the supply chain disruptions and how we think that we can achieve what we have set out to achieve. That's why we are working in collaboration with all the other agencies and with the private sector. Not only that, we are working with international bodies, and we just don't go out products in any market. We do study the markets to see where our products are needed. And although the world is going into recession, food is always very important, and that's what we do best here. We are lucky that we have an agriculture, our country is an agrarian one, and so we produce food all round. We are lucky to have what we have by way of the seasons, and what we have to do is to be very conscious about what we do from now onwards, knowing that this is what is happening to the world. We need to be very conscious of that, and we need to be conscious about what we do, and that is why we also have priorities. The priorities were not just put together anyhow. They were put together in the context of what is happening in the world and where the market is for products that we have made a part of the priorities. So we have we keep cognizance of all of what is happening in this world as part of the strategy that we put together to market our products and services on the international market. The second question, how do we achieve the 20.5 billion in the next 7 years? Am I right? That's the question. Yes, if we are very focused on what we are doing, and we work with the National Export Development Strategy, inshallah, if nothing bad happens, we should be able to achieve this. Although the beginning is a little wobbly, we think that we will pick up the momentum if we are focused on what we have said we will do, if we are intentional about everything that we have put down in that document, which wasn't put together but virtually by the whole country. Then we should be serious about what we have put together, and we should get the targets if we are intentional and support the industrialization agenda of this government. It means it shouldn't be difficult for us to get our 25.3 billion in 2029. The last question, I didn't completely. What Cocoa Board should do? Yes, Cocoa Board has been a very good collaborator, and we are still in talks with Cocoa Board as to how they can release more cocoa beans for our manufacturers to be able to add more value to the cocoa beans that we have, so that we can get more. We are talking to Cocoa Board. They have supported us in many of the interventions that we have done. They have traveled with us to showcase cocoa derivatives, and I think that they are a very good collaborator. And so I believe that with the statistics that they are seeing, they are even going to help us more. Thank you. Closing remarks. We have closed. I want to thank you very much for making time to hear us, to go through the NTE statistics for 2021 with us, and the media. You are so important to us. You mean, not that because you are here I'm saying that, I'm part of the media as well. I've worked as a media person as well. I know how well you put this whole thing together and even explain to all the people that we can reach, because you reach more people than we do. I am so grateful that you came, and I know that you can even take our story further than we can. I also want to thank the ministers, the 3 ministers who have supported us in this whole program, the 2 deputy ministers, the deputy minister for Trade and Industry, the Deputy Minister for Information, and the Minister himself, Honorable Kwejo upon Kroma. I want to thank all of you from the various agencies, and we work in collaboration with all these agencies. We work in collaboration. We couldn't have done this by ourselves. It's because we've been working with Authority, the Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Standards Authority, the Food and Drugs Authority, and all the agencies that we have who have been collaborating very well with us. Let's keep this relationship strong, and I know that hopefully by the end of 2029 we would have achieved what we have set out to achieve. Thank you very much, all of you, for coming.
Honorable Deputy Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's press briefing. Thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.